was asking when I came in, I said, is this the largest developer event that we have in Africa? What do you think? What do you think? I'm not here. You're not even sure. Yes, it is. It is. This is the largest developer gathering that we have in Africa. That's incredible. A round of applause for yourself. And a round of applause for the organizers as well. But then I asked the second question. I said, is this the largest developer event that we have in the world? Huh? I'm not hearing you now. Come on. No. Who's bigger? They told me, they said France is bigger. I said, how can? All right, so I hope that in the coming years we can claim that this is the largest developer event or the largest developer gathering festival that we have in the world, because we have the young people to do it. We have the young people to do it. It's a privilege for me to be here today. I'm so excited. I'm excited, even though I was saying to the team, I said at 9 a.m. I'm still on my bed. But like I said, when I came in and I heard your clap and I saw the energy in the room, it really woke me up. You know, in September this year, Google revealed that Nigeria recorded the 6th highest search interest for AI in Africa. The 6th. Searches for AI have more than doubled this year, increasing by 130%. By the way, we're 6th in Africa, but we're 25th in the world. Just when you consider the number of people who are searching about AI, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what they're searching for. So 130%. We've seen a 130% increase in searches for AI. And everything from what is AI, which has increased by 30%, to searches on how to use AI. Our Google Trends reports also shows that Nigerians are looking to use AI to build their careers, and you know, we're very creative people. So we're thinking about how AI can help our creativity. And we've seen breakout searches. These are searches that we have never seen before. We started to see them this year, growing over 5,000%. It's also interesting to see that young people are looking at AI and skills. So skilling seems to be a big part, and we'll talk about that a little bit today. Searches on AI and courses have grown 50%. We see top questions like, how do I learn about AI? How do I access AI? How do I use AI for my business? What types of jobs can I get with AI? We've seen searches like that septuple, so growing by 640% versus last year. And that is incredible to see, because we know that with artificial intelligence, we have an opportunity to solve some of the world's most imminent problems. And let's forget about the world for a second and think about Nigeria. Some of Nigeria's most imminent problems, we have an opportunity to solve with artificial intelligence. I want you to, imagine using AI to solve, food distribution, food production, healthcare. Or how about we use AI to create advanced or adaptive learning platforms that are able to personalize education at scale? We can predict natural disasters with AI. We can accelerate drug discovery with artificial intelligence. So that's why some of the time we say that it's true transformational technology. More important than anything humans have ever created. More important than fire. More important than when we founded electricity. And they say that with great power comes great responsibility. And so I'm going to cover a little bit about that today, because today we're spotlighting on We're spotlighting, I'm getting my clicker right. We're spotlighting today on responsible AI. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about the AI opportunity because it's important for us to really put these numbers on just how significant this opportunity is. I'm going to cover some of the barriers and what your role is. So what are some of the things that are barriers to us as a nation and as a continent taking advantage of this AI opportunity? And then I'm going to talk a little bit about how we accelerate prosperity with artificial intelligence responsibly. And the part of the responsibility I'm going to cover is a part that I really want you to stay tuned for because I think it's important for us to think about these things, about the fact that we have a privilege to have access. And the privilege that we have is one that we must use to create access for others. So it is with a deep sense of responsibility and anxious excitement and urgency that I want to discuss this today. The goal is to share some data. I'm going to share some data, of course, that hopefully helps us all come to an aligned point of view on where we are and where we need to be to truly take advantage. If this is the largest tech gathering in Africa, how do we leave here today inspired to go out and build for the things that will solve problems in our community? You know, in 2006, when I was working on my final year thesis, and I was kind of struggling a little bit with what I was going to work on. I was in Obafemi Awolowo University at the time. I eventually landed on what I call building a doctor. And it was a little bit of machine learning, microcontrollers, you program it, you have some data and sensors, and you are able to diagnose the most prevalent of diseases. My intention at the time was really that this technology would reach rural areas where they had very limited access to doctors so that they can tell when they had very basic ailments. But at the time, you know, as with every young boy trying to build something that's great, I didn't have all the resources. The technology wasn't as advanced. And I wasn't quite clear on what the opportunity size would be. But look at now, we know that globally, artificial intelligence has an incredible opportunity. $13 trillion by 2030. 13 trillion. From a current size of 497 billion, we see currently, we estimate that the total addressable market for AI-related hardware and software will grow between 40 and 55% annually over the next 3 years, reaching somewhere around 780 billion to 990 billion by 2027. So there's a difference between the size of the opportunity for a business and the economic impact that it makes. So the price of toothpaste can be 1,000 naira. But when you brush your teeth, the impact to the economy is much larger than 1,000. Because you don't want to go around with a smelly mouth, right? You would not be able to work with anyone. So with a 2027 number of $990 billion, there is an economic impact opportunity projected 13 trillion globally by 2030. By the way, that's the amount that I call there is equal to the GDP of China and comparable to half the GDP of the United States. So that's massive. And just to put the 13 trillion in context, mobile, which we're all living in the mobile age today, had an economic impact of 5.7 trillion. So AI will have almost 3 times the impact that mobile had. on the economy. And that's incredible. So let's talk a little bit about Africa. So the impact that we will see in Africa, of course, is more intense just because of where we are and the stage of development that we are at. We see that mobile has contributed 1.4 trillion in economic value, and we estimate that we will see about 1.5 trillion. So we're thinking about Africa taking about 10% of the global value of AI. Just 10% of the global value. AI and cloud will be enablers of this, okay? And we see that AI and cloud can help us leapfrog some of the more imminent challenges that we face and that we have right now. The other thing that's also very important and a key asset for us is the amount of young people that we have. That's you. Much more than any other continent, much more than any country. Nigeria has a huge, teeming population of young people. There are challenges, and there are challenges that we will identify. So that's the Africa number. Let's talk a little bit about the Nigeria number. 15 billion. So I started from 13 trillion to 1.5 trillion to 15 billion. Can you see how the percentages continue to reduce in terms of just the opportunity sizing for Nigeria in the larger global ecosystem, within the larger global ecosystem? Even though in Africa we're expected to be the second largest in AI market size, I still think that this is something that we can accelerate quite quickly, much more than what we forecast today. And while we see a 15 billion impact, it's not just about the money. And this is where I am really moved and touched. It's about the impact. Everything from education that we can affect to climate. We know that we have a severe food production shortage and AI could help there. And we feel that AI can have a lot of impact as well in terms of just lifestyle. Products that you build today that help people connect to each other, AI could help influence and largely improve the efficiencies and the experience that we see there, creating incredible long-term prosperity for us all. But there are barriers. As it stands today, our AI readiness is not quite where it should be. I'm sure you can see there, Nigeria is at 39 on the AI readiness index, while India is at 62, the United States is at 84. So there are things today that largely limit our ability to take advantage of the opportunity that artificial intelligence has, both for now as well as the future. The question you might ask is, why should I be concerned about this? Why should I be concerned? It's because there are things that are challenges today or barriers today that you have an opportunity to greatly affect. So there are 4 key barriers as we see it. 4 key barriers that largely impacts our AI readiness and makes it far smaller than even our peer sets globally. Number 1 is talent. We have a severe talent shortage. Let me give you some quick stats. Tertiary enrollment in Nigeria today, we have just 12% tertiary enrollment versus India and Brazil, which are at 28% and 32% respectively. So we're talking about more than double the percentage of tertiary enrollment that Nigeria has is what our peer set has. And I do consider India and Brazil, in some sense, as peer sets. We have declining school rates due to poverty. 10.5 million children are not in school between the ages of 5 and 14. This means that 1 in every 3 children in Nigeria are out of school. There's insufficient investment in the system, and our literacy rates It's just about 62%. I want you to think about, how can I affect talent? With the products that I build, how am I able to get education out to as many people as possible in languages that they understand? I know that I'm in a room filled with people who are looking to build products or working with engineers, your designers. And I know that some of the time it's very easy for us to think about what are the things that are monetizing quickly. And that's, that you can generate income quickly. And that's important. But I'm just trying to help us understand we can do more than fintech, okay? We can develop solutions that actually can impact education and talent development here in Nigeria. The second one is infrastructure. We have limited internet access. I'm sure that we know this. Not everyone is in Lagos. Many regions in Nigeria today still lack reliable internet. There's insufficient computing power, and there's work that Google is doing to help alleviate this. Of course, partnering with government as well. There's work that other companies I know are doing to help get, cables into the country and help build last mile connectivity. But it is a barrier nonetheless. Computing power is important as well. The computational resource that's required to advance AI models, they're often scarce, especially in Nigeria. And we want to see how we can bridge the gap there as Google. Electrical power is an issue. I just want to give you a quick start. AI servers, for example, could use anywhere between 85 and 134 terawatt hours of electricity annually by 2027. I know I always like to put numbers in context. That's the total number of electricity that the entirety of Africa needs for a year. That's the amount of energy that we need, the amount of power that we need. Right now, we're still struggling to get power to even put on the fridge or put on the TV. And those are things that, as a people, we have to canvass for. If you are going to develop products that would leverage artificial intelligence to solve for your community, you have to be an active voice in pushing for the policies and pushing for investment in these areas. If not, the market size is so small that even if 50% of the people in this room develop solutions, they will not have enough people to use them. They will not have enough computational power, and they will not have enough electrical power to run them. So infrastructure is key. Now, the last two, innovation and data. You see there, I put a red around it because I think that this is where you have an opportunity, an outsized opportunity to really impact the barrier. Let me start with data. We have a massive data problem. We are not collecting data like everyone else is. We're not structuring our data. Data is not clean. With consent. Data is not as private as it should be. And I know that Dan, somewhere in the room, is going to talk a little bit about SAFE, and I will kind of touch on it, the Secure AI framework. But data is a big part of that. How do we make sure that the data is secure? There's not enough access to big data. There's a lack of high-quality structured data, and that limits and impacts the ability to build products and to solve problems. Innovation. Our innovation system is not fully supported. There's only 0.3% of our GDP today that we actually invest in innovation, versus 0.6% in India and about 1.1% in Brazil. Again, I'm just saying, when we're having conversations on Twitter, on social media, we should make sure that we are asking and pushing for the right things. Because these are the core factors that are necessary, that are required for us to actually fully scale here on the continent. There's not enough regulation. One of the things that I always say is, why should people innovate when their innovation is not protected by patent? If you cannot create a problem register it as yours so that any other person who wants to use your solution has to pay you a royalty, it becomes very difficult for you to actually have incentives to innovate. Do you all agree? So how do we push for policies that are not obsolete? We do have IP laws, but they're currently obsolete. And the last thing is really, if you look there, it says safety, inclusivity, and privacy. So I'm going to touch very quickly in the last 6 minutes that I have on SAFE, Google's Secure AI Framework, which essentially is a comprehensive framework designed to help developers and organizations build and deploy secure AI systems. Because Dan is in the building, I just want to flash this slide. He's going to take it, I think, at 12:40. So please stay tuned to some of the things that are important that you need to do if you are to implement safe frameworks in your development. Okay, so, and he's going to cover this. So I want to spend the last few minutes on just one slide. And I want us to give this some thought. If you are building solutions right now or solving problems right now, one of the things that responsibility means is that you are thinking about people who are not just like you. On the global world stage, we keep having conversations about making sure that large language models have data from Africa and data from Nigeria, so that when you develop on top of these LLMs, they are not biased to only a certain group of people. But I want to bring it down to Nigeria. And I want to talk a little bit about when you develop solutions as well, I want you to consider that there are people that do not speak English in this country. They need solutions too. There are people who do not have your life experiences. They need solutions too. So a big part of responsibility is that we are thinking about how we develop and build for everyone, not just for people like us. That is something that I want to leave you with today. So imagine what your solution would look like if it could work for those who are just Hausa speaking, for example. If we could take educational content, translate it to a language that they can understand, deliver it to places that have been hitherto unreachable by the educational system. Imagine the impact that you could create. So responsibility is about us taking the privilege and the access that we have had and making sure that we can make that access and privilege available to people who are not like us here in Nigeria. With that, I want to thank you for your time. I hope you have a great remainder of the program. Thank you very much.